You've probably heard it 100 times. After 60, cut your hair short. Susan heard it too. She's 67 from Portland, and she walked into her salon believing that advice. But when she looked in the mirror, she felt older, not younger. Heavier, more tired. Here's the thing. Short hair doesn't automatically age you. The wrong shortcut does. I'm 70 years old, and I've spent decades watching women transform with just one simple change. Today, I'm sharing the 3 haircuts that instantly make women over 60 look lighter and more vibrant, including the right Pixie that takes 10 years off, the bob that brightens your face, and the 3 cuts that accidentally age you, like that stiff helmet effect. So grab your tea, settle in, and drop your city in the comments. I love seeing where you're all from. Hornbird 1, the soft layered bob that lifts everything. So what happened with Susan? Her first stylist gave her a bob, but it was all one length. It sat heavy around her jaw, pulling everything downward. 2 months later, she tried again with someone new and asked for layers that start at the cheekbones, not the chin. Within 2 weeks, 3 strangers stopped her at the grocery store to say how great she looked. She texted me, "I forgot what it feels like to be seen." Here's why this cut works so beautifully. Layers create upward movement that counters gravity's downward pull on aging faces. A one-length cut amplifies that drag. But layers starting at your cheekbones frame your face and draw the eye upward, softening your jawline and bringing light back to your features. It's not magic, it's just smart placement. The ideal length is chin to just above shoulders. Too short can feel severe. Too long starts dragging your face down again. And here's the beauty. For fine hair, layers add body and make it look thicker. For thick hair, they remove weight and make styling easier. It adapts to almost every texture. When you book your next appointment, say these exact words. "I want layers that start at my cheekbones, not my chin." Then add, "Can you give me feathered ends instead of blunt cuts?" Feathered ends create softness and movement. Blunt ends look harsh, especially if you've been wearing the same shoulder-length style since your 40s and wondering why it suddenly feels heavy or dated. For styling, here's a 30-second trick that changes everything. Flip your head upside down while blow-drying and aim the dryer at your roots. When you flip back up, you'll have instant lift at the crown. Add a dime-sized amount of mousse to damp roots if you want that volume to last all day. No stiffness, just natural body. But what if you're ready to go even shorter? What if you want something bold that says, "I'm confident and I'm not apologizing"? That's where our next cut comes in, and it might just surprise you. 2. Why the right Pixie makes you look fearless, not harsh. You've been told short hair is aging. That's only half the story. The truth is, the wrong short hair ages you. But the right Pixie? It can make you look fearless, radiant, and more like yourself than you've felt in years. The difference comes down to just 2 words: soft and textured. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 71, from Scottsdale, and she wore her hair long for 50 years. She was terrified that cutting it short would make her look masculine or harsh. But her daughter gently pushed her to try something new, a textured Pixie with volume at the crown. When Margaret saw herself in the mirror, she teared up. She told me, "I look like me again, not who I was at 40, who I am now." Here's why the right Pixie works magic. As our hair thins with age, a well-cut Pixie actually creates the illusion of thickness. By keeping layers on top and adding volume at the crown, your stylist lifts your whole face. Instead of hair lying flat against your scalp, that height draws attention to your eyes, your cheekbones, your smile. It's like a frame that says, "Look at my best features," which is perfect if you've been nervous about going short because someone once told you it would make you look older or too severe. When you're ready to take the leap, here's what to say at your appointment. "I want a Pixie with volume at the crown and feathered edges." Avoid anything super short that hugs your skull, that exposes every line and removes the softness your face needs. Ask for a side-swept fringe to gently soften forehead lines without looking heavy or dated. Styling takes about 3 minutes. Add a dime-sized amount of mousse to damp hair, scrunch it at the roots, then either air dry or give it a quick blow dry. That's it. And here's a color trick. Ask for highlights on the top layers. It creates dimension and makes thinning hair look fuller and more alive. Now maybe you're thinking, I love the idea of short, but I'm not ready to let go of my length yet. I hear you, and that's exactly why this next cut exists. 3. The length you can keep if you add this one thing. What if I told you that you don't have to choose between keeping your length and looking younger? Because here's the truth. Length isn't the problem. Weight is. When hair sits heavy and flat, it drags your face downward. But when you add layers, everything changes. Diana is 64 from Charleston, and she refused to cut her hair past her shoulders for years. She told her stylist, "This length is my femininity. I'm not giving it up." Her stylist didn't push back. Instead, she asked one question. What if we keep the length but add a long layered shag? Diana agreed nervously. 2 weeks later, her husband looked at her across the dinner table and said, "You look lighter, happier?" She still had her length, but now she had movement, life, and a style that didn't pull her down. Here's what makes the long layered shag so flattering. Those feathered layers remove bulk where your hair tends to look heavy and add volume where it tends to look flat. The result is hair that moves when you move, catches the light, and frames your face instead of hiding it, especially if you've been holding on to one-length hair because cutting it felt like losing part of your identity, but you're tired of it looking flat and lifeless. When you book your appointment, ask for a long layered shag with face framing pieces. The sweet spot for length is shoulders to 2 or 3 inches below. Pair it with curtain bangs or wispy side-swept bangs to soften your forehead and balance your features. For styling, scrunch in some sea salt spray for easy texture, or smooth it with a round brush for polish. This cut works beautifully with natural waves or curls. And here's a color trick. Ask for highlights 2 shades lighter than your base. It adds dimension and makes the layers pop. So, those are the 3 cuts that take years off. But here's what I need to tell you, and this might save you from a costly mistake. There are 3 cuts that do the opposite. Let's talk about the first one, because I see it everywhere. 4. The cut that looks easy, but actually ages you. Here's something stylists won't always tell you. About 60% of women who choose an ultra-short crop do it for convenience, not because it flatters them. And I get it. Wash and go sounds appealing, but here's the problem. When you cut your hair too close to your head with no texture or movement, you remove the softness your face needs as a frame. Patricia is 68 from Tucson. She walked into her salon and asked for the shortest, easiest cut possible. No fuss, no styling, just wash and done. Her stylist gave her exactly what she asked for, a close crop that hugged her skull. But every time Patricia looked in the mirror, something felt off. She told me, I looked harsh, severe, like I'd given up. After 3 months, she couldn't take it anymore. She let it grow out just 2 inches and asked her stylist to add texture and layers at the crown. It's still easy, she said, but now I look like myself again. Here's why the ultra-short severe crop ages you. It exposes every line on your face, forehead creases, crow's feet, the softening around your jaw. Without any hair to create a frame, those lines become the focus, which is exactly what Patricia discovered after months of feeling like her haircut was working against her, not for her. Your face needs balance, and a cut that hugs your skull removes that completely. If you want short hair that's low maintenance, go back to section 2 and choose a textured pixie instead. The difference is just 2 inches of length at the crown, but that small change creates softness, movement, and lift. Avoid anything that sits flat against your head with no shape. Ask your stylist for layers and texture, even if you want it short. That's what transforms severe into stylish. But it's not just too short that can age you. Sometimes it's the opposite problem, too much hair in the wrong way. Let me explain. 5. When long hair starts working against you. I know how much your long hair means to you. For many women, it's tied to identity, femininity, even memories of who you've always been. So I'm not here to tell you to cut it all off. But I do need to tell you this. When your hair is all one length with no layers, it can start working against you instead of for you. Carolyn is 69 from Nashville, and she'd worn her hair long for decades. But lately, she noticed something. The ends looked stringy and thin. The whole style felt heavy, almost like it was dragging her face downward. She didn't want to lose her length, but she knew something had to change, especially since she'd been attached to that length for decades, but secretly worried it wasn't doing her any favors anymore. Her stylist suggested one thing. Keep the length, but add long layers with internal texturizing. 2 weeks later, Carolyn looked at herself and said, "I didn't lose my length. I just gained my life back." Here's what happens with one-length hair. As we age, our hair naturally thins at the ends. When you keep it blunt and heavy, those thin ends become the focus. And because there's no movement or shape, the weight pulls everything downward. Your hair, your features, even the way people perceive your energy. It's not about the length, it's about the lack of dimension. You don't have to chop it. Just ask your stylist for long layers with internal texturizing. That removes bulk without losing your length. Avoid blunt one-length cuts that sit flat and lifeless. And here's something you can try tonight. Part your hair on the opposite side from where you usually wear it. Look in the mirror. See that instant lift? That's what strategic layers do automatically every single day. Okay, one more cut to avoid, and this one's tricky because it looks polished. But here's why it might be holding you back. 6. The helmet hair. That screams 1985, not 2025. Picture this, a bob that's perfectly round, doesn't move in the wind, and stays exactly in place all day thanks to a cloud of hairspray. It looks neat, it looks controlled. But here's the problem, it also looks like it's stuck in 1985. That stiff, sprayed, helmet-shaped bob might feel polished to you, but to everyone else, it signals something you don't want. Dated, rigid, and older than you actually are. Evelyn is 66, from Minneapolis, and she wore the same set and spray bob for 20 years. Every week, she went to her salon, got it shaped and sprayed into that perfect rounded curve, and felt put together. But her granddaughter noticed something. One day, she gently said, "Grandma, what if we loosened it up a little?" Evelyn was nervous, but she trusted her stylist to add some soft layers and cut back on the spray. When she saw herself, she teared up. "I look modern," she said. "I look like I'm still here." Here's why helmet hair ages you. When your hair doesn't move, it signals rigidity, not just in your style, but in how people perceive you. Hair that sways when you turn your head communicates energy, openness, and life. Hair that stays frozen in one shape feels closed off and old-fashioned, which works perfectly if you've been relying on hairspray to keep everything in place. But wonder why your style feels stuck in another decade instead of fresh and current. Swap that rigid bob for a modern layered bob with texture. When you're at your salon, ask this simple question. Can we add texture so it moves when I turn my head? Avoid heavy spray that locks everything down. Embrace a little imperfection. Hair that moves is hair that looks youthful and alive. So now you know the 3 cuts that flatter and the 3 that don't. But here's the question I get all the time. How do I know which one is right for me? Let me walk you through it. So, how do you know which of these cuts is right for you? It comes down to three things: your face shape, your hair texture, and your lifestyle. Linda is 65, from Boston. She brought 3 photos to her stylist and said, "Help me choose." They looked at her round face, which needed height at the crown, her fine hair, which needed layers for volume, and her busy schedule, which meant she couldn't spend 30 minutes styling every morning. Together, they chose a soft layered bob. Linda styles it in 5 minutes and loves it. Start with your face shape. If you have a round face, you need height at the crown to elongate your look. If your face is square or angular, you need softness around the edges to balance those strong lines. And if your face is long or narrow, you want width at the sides to create harmony, especially if you've been frustrated trying cuts that look great on others but don't seem to work on you. Next, consider your hair texture. Fine hair looks best shorter with layers that add volume. Thick hair needs smart layering to remove weight without losing fullness. And if you have natural waves or curls, celebrate them with layered cuts that give them shape and definition. Finally, be honest about your lifestyle. Ask yourself, how much time do I want to spend on my hair each day? Match the cut to your reality, not to some ideal version of yourself. And here's something important. Bring photos to your stylist. It's not embarrassing. It's smart. Book regular trims every 6 to 8 weeks to keep your shape fresh and flattering. Tonight, try this. Stand in front of your mirror and pull your hair back gently at the temples. See how that lifts your whole face? That's what the right layers do automatically. Now imagine waking up to that every single day. Which of these cuts are you leaning toward? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And here's what I want you to do. Share this with a friend who's been talking about a haircut but hasn't pulled the trigger yet. Sometimes we all need that little push. If this helped you see your hair and yourself differently, hit subscribe. We've got more coming on style, confidence, and living your best years yet. Because here's what I know at 70. The right haircut isn't about hiding who you are. It's about showing the world the vibrant, beautiful woman you've always been.